Hey there, everyone. I am Gyan. Welcome back to our channel, English Magus, where we explore the world of literature, poetry, and everything in between. Today, we are diving into a powerful and emotional poem, Father to Son by Elizabeth Jennings. This poem focuses on a very special relationship, a father and his son, but it's not just about love and affection. It talks about the struggles, misunderstandings, and the emotional distance that can grow between parents and children over time. Sounds deep, right? Don't worry, we'll break it down together, step by step. So, let's get into it by knowing a little about its poet. Elizabeth Jennings was an English poet known for her lyrical and traditional style. She was born in Boston, Lincolnshire, and educated at Oxford. Jennings' poetry often delved into themes of personal relationships, faith, and human experiences. She was part of the movement, a group of British poets in the 1950s known for their formal style and detachment from modernist experimentation. Jennings' work is celebrated for its emotional depth, clarity, and precision. Now, let's take a look at its theme. Father to Son by Elizabeth Jennings is a heartfelt poem that shows us the feelings of a father who is struggling to connect with his son. They live under the same roof, but the father feels like they are strangers. There's a lack of communication and emotional connection. The father wants to fix this relationship, but he doesn't know how to reach out to his son. It's a poem about generation gaps, communication breakdowns, and the desire to heal emotional wounds. Let's see how Elizabeth Jennings portrays these complex emotions in the poem. I will read each stanza and then explain it. Let's begin by reading the first stanza. I do not understand this child, though we have lived together now, in the same house for years. I know nothing of him, so try to build up a relationship from how he was when small. In the first stanza, the father expresses his confusion and sadness. He says that he doesn't understand his son, even though they've lived in the same house for years. Imagine how painful it must be for a father to feel this distant from his own child. He tries to connect with his son by remembering the time when the boy was small, but the memories aren't enough. The son has changed, and the father feels lost because he doesn't know how to communicate with the person his son has grown into. Now let's move on to the second stanza. Yet have I killed the seed I spent or sown it where the land is his and none of mine. We speak like strangers, there's no sign of understanding in the air. In these lines, the father asks a very important question: did he fail as a father? He wonders if he has killed the seed, meaning that maybe his actions or mistakes as a parent are to blame for the distance between them. Or perhaps, the son has grown up in a world that the father doesn't understand, where the land is his son's alone. The father and son talk to each other, but there's no real communication or understanding. It's as if they are strangers in their own home, and the father is heartbroken about this emotional gap. Let's keep going and look at the third stanza. I would have him prodigal, returning to his father's house, the home he knew, rather than see him make and move his world. I would forgive him too, shaping from sorrow a new love. In this stanza, we see that the father wants his son to return to him, like the biblical story of the prodigal son. If you remember, in that story, the son leaves home and spends his inheritance recklessly, but when he comes back, his father welcomes him with open arms. The father in this poem wishes for the same thing. He would rather his son come back to the home and the relationship they once had, instead of creating his own world, far away from the father's understanding. And despite the pain and distance, the father is willing to forgive everything and start fresh, building a new love out of their shared sorrow. Finally, let's look at the last stanza of the poem. Father and son, we both must live on the same globe and the same land. He speaks, I cannot understand myself, why anger grows from grief. We each put out an empty hand, longing for something to forgive. In this powerful ending, the father admits that both he and his son are struggling to understand each other. They live in the same world, but emotionally, they're miles apart. The son also speaks in this stanza, admitting that he doesn't fully understand himself either, and he doesn't know why anger comes from his grief. Both the father and the son reach out to each other, symbolized by putting out an empty hand. They are both longing for reconciliation, for forgiveness, but they don't know how to bridge the gap. The poem ends on a note of hope mixed with sadness. They both want to heal the relationship, but it's not easy. So, what's the main message of Father to Son? Elizabeth Jennings shows us the deep emotional struggle between a father and his son who want to reconnect but are held back by misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and the passage of time. The poem touches on the universal theme of generation gaps, where the older generation struggles to understand the younger one, and vice versa. But despite the tension, there is still hope. Both the father and the son want to find a way to forgive each other and rebuild their relationship. This poem reminds us of the importance of communication and understanding in relationships, whether it's between parents and children or anyone else in our lives. It shows us that love can heal wounds, but we need to reach out and forgive to truly connect with others. And that's a wrap on Father to Son by Elizabeth Jennings. This poem gives us a lot to think about, especially when it comes to family relationships and the importance of communication. Here is a list of literary devices used in the poem. Pause the video and go through it. If this breakdown helped you understand the poem better, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button for more poetry and literature lessons right here on English Magus. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, sometimes, we just need to reach out and understand the people we love.